You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the OutSpoken NetWork here. We got your hosts, Brian and Craig. Craig, brother man, how's it going?
Howdy, sir.
All right, guys. Well, Jeff is back. Jeff will be on in about 5 minutes or so. He said he just got home, so let him jump on. We're going to give you a Super Bowl preview of the two teams, go through them, see who has the advantage in what areas. Got the headlines of the week. Some interesting things happened this week, and we'll give Jeff a little segment to rant about his Denver Broncos. But stay tuned, guys, right after this. All right, guys, welcome in the OutSpoken NetWork here, Sportscast Edition, Super Bowl preview. I'm ready for the Super Bowl, Craig. I don't know about you. I think it's gonna be a pretty good game.
Yeah, I don't want to wait another week. I'll tell you that. Although I think the extra week's going to help only doing good things for Mahomes. So
Mahomes and Hurts still getting healthy there,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Did you watch any? Because I didn't know the skills competition was already going on. I thought it was going to be this weekend.
I
Was
watched
it?
part of it last night. They had Derek Carr out there, and he's lighting up the world in the skills competition, and then does the interview after the game, and they're like, "Have you ever been that hot in Vegas?" He's like, "Probably not, or else I wouldn't be leaving." And they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh my God."
Oh, I saw a comment. It looked like he almost started crying a little bit there at the end.
He's throwing things, hitting moving targets, throwing it into baskets that are moving and all this, and they're like, "Hey, have you ever been this hot?" He's like, "Probably not, or else I wouldn't be leaving."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, the guy was like, "Oh man,
It's like I walked into that
awkward."
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was hilarious.
So
I wanted to, but I didn't know they were last night. So
yeah, they're
dodgeball.
last night, and then I want to say the flag football is Sunday. I think
That'd be interesting.
And then of course they've got the award show. You'll find out the MVP and the coach of the year and all that stuff Sunday too.
Awesome. There's some things to look forward to. See who gets those awards this season. But Super Bowl 57. We got the Eagles versus the Chiefs. Going to be played in Arizona. Is that correct? Okay. They're going up to Arizona. This is the first time in National Football League you got two black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl facing each other. A little bit of history there, I guess. But I was looking at some numbers for these teams and where they kind of finished overall. They both control the clock quite a bit. They both averaged over 30 minutes of ball control, so both of them would like to control the ball quite a bit. The Eagles rushing attack. Kansas City's number one offense. The Eagles are at number 3, and then if you go look at defense, the Eagles are at number 2, and Kansas City was at number 11 on defense. So, when you look at these two teams, the Eagles' defense is better, in my opinion. I'm going to give them the advantage there. I think this offensive front or this defensive front for them's good at shutting down the offense. are shutting down the rushing attack. They're really good at covering guys. They're going to have to key in on Kelsey. You cannot let Kelsey just go tear you up. We've seen that. We've seen that a couple times in the playoffs where teams have let Kelsey tear him up and let everyone else try and beat you. No one else is going to beat you, but the Kelsey tears it up and he's still in the game. Mahomes is really good. Obviously, the quarterback position, Mahomes got the advantage there for the Chiefs, but offensively, other than quarterback, I think the offensive advantage has got to be on Philadelphia. They have the better wide receiver group. They have the better running back. And they have the best offensive line in football. So I think this is turning into, should be on paper, evenly matched two teams playing against each other.
They've scored the exact amount of points to the T over the year, like 258. I don't know. I saw the number the other day, and they've scored exactly the same amount of points over the season, and that includes playoffs and everything. So that's crazy. And then, of course, with Kansas City, they've got a couple wide receivers that are down that don't appear they're going to be back for the game. So that definitely gives the advantage in the wide receiver column to Philadelphia with Devontae Smith and Brown. Those are two
and
Pro
Goddard
Bowl,
there as well.
2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. Goddard's a good tight end. The quarterback has played basically MVP football for every game that he played. The only reason he's not in the MVP discussion, even though I believe he did still make the finals of the MVP voting, he won't get it only because, or won't get as much consideration only because he missed those games. But what he's done in the playoffs is just beat 2 teams that were pretty solidly playing when they came in. I mean, the Giants may not have been the greatest on paper, but they were playing pretty well coming down the stretch. They won several games down the stretch to get themselves in.
They upset Minnesota.
And yes, they upset. They went to Minnesota and upset them. And they go and beat a San Francisco team, although they're playing their 19th string quarterback.
Yeah.
They still put up a bunch of points against a defense that held Dallas to 12 points, and Dallas was one of the top offenses in football. So why everything points to an even match or Philadelphia having the advantage, I just can't. When Patrick Mahomes goes out there and plays the way he played on an ankle that no one else could play. Like, I love Joe Burrow to death, but if that injury happens to Joe Burrow, he doesn't go out there and put up 300 and some odd yards and 3 touchdowns. He doesn't throw lasers around the yard and on the last drive with 30 seconds and no timeouts, run around the end and make that play to deal. And I just think this is going to be the Patrick Mahomes factor. I just think he's been there. He's been on the biggest stage. This is something he's used to. And the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, he played a national championship game, but he just hasn't been on the biggest stage. And I think it's going to come down to Hurts making a mistake maybe that lost him down the stretch. And Mahomes isn't going to give you that mistake. Like he fumbled the ball against Cincinnati, and we thought, like, that just doesn't happen. Like, he just doesn't make those kind of mistakes. So I don't know. To me, it's just the Patrick Mahomes show. And as long as that guy is as healthier than he was in the AFC Championship, I just have to go that Kansas City will somehow find a way to get it done. But we'll see.
Well, when we could talk about advantages over here on the offensive line and who has the better defense.
Yeah,
but I think when you have advantage at the quarterback position, the most
important
important
the best
position,
player on the field,
that's kind of where you want to lean to. The advantage is a bigger advantage than most. It's more like 2 or 3 advantages instead of just one. And we've talked about it before going into this year, or even this. Hurts has made the best jump we've seen out of any other quarterback in the
100%.
NFL, and there's no really argument there. What this guy's done, I went back today because we got a show coming up next Tuesday, guys. The show you want to listen to. We talked about going before the season of questions. We came up with a question for every NFL team. And I was going back and listening to those because we're going to answer those questions. Did these teams answer those questions that we came up for them? Did they have a good season? Me and you, we were killing Hurts kind of in it. Going back and listening to them like, oh, we're killing Hurts here. And we didn't really believe in the guy. And now I prefer him over Lamar Jackson any day of the week.
Well, and to be honest, the only time I've ever seen a jump like this is Lamar Jackson. I remember a couple of years ago, my brother picking him in a fantasy football draft, and I looked at him and I laughed him away from the table. I said, "You're an idiot." I was like, "Lamar Jackson's got a spaghetti noodle for an arm. Like, he can't throw football." And he won the MVP that year. Like, that's the only type of ever season that I've ever seen like this, from a guy who couldn't hit the water if he fell out of the boat to MVP in one season. And it reminds me of the one season that Lamar had. But It was just that. It was one season, and he's been back to Lamar ever since.
Well, so we've got to see that.
Let me see next year. Let me see next year if this is the real Jalen Hurts, or if we just didn't get the film. Like, if he did something with Sirianni, if Sirianni unlocks something that the NFL just needs to watch some tape on.
And I think his success is going to be more sustainable. And you're going to be able to see it more than Lamar, just because the system they run, the first of all, the weapons they have. That's one thing I'll give Lamar. He's never really had any deep down threats.
And the one that he did have, they took away from him.
They took away from him. So I think he will continue to be successful. Will they make it to the Super Bowl every year? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying they will be competitive.
I don't know, but yes.
Yeah, they will be competitive, but I don't know. I half of me says I can't root against Kansas City. It's the Mahomes. He's going to find a way to get the job done at the end of the game. He's going to find a way to drive down the field with 10 seconds on the clock and win the game. But I'm leaning Philadelphia in this game. I really am. I think the defense is a big part of it. I think the scheme they got, Jalen Hurts running, A.J. Brown being able to go out there and make some great catches, and with Devontae Smith on the other side is an absolute beast as well. I think Hurts is able to get out of the pocket, and he's good with his legs, obviously. I'm leaning more towards Philly winning this football game. I could see it going either way, and when I sit here and talked about it and I thought about it this week, these are two well-balanced football teams. And we've talked about this the whole playoffs of getting this game that is, we thought it was going to be the Philadelphia-San Francisco game, where it was down to somebody kicking a field goal at the end to win the football game. And we just haven't, every game we thought was going to be like that has turned out to be, a blowout. So hopefully it doesn't turn out to be that. I don't see that. I don't see that either. And what the Eagles, if you go and look at the playoff teams, they've been the most balanced football team. You go look at Kansas City, they've pretty much been the most balanced. They don't have a whole lot of running game, but they, on defense and offense and special teams, they've been balanced.
Pacheco's had some good.
He's had some good runs.
Good run.
So I'm really excited for this. It looks like Jeff is joining us on the show. What's up, man? Jeff is back. A little late, but that's okay. Better late than never. Good to have you back, Jeff. We were just talking about, we were just going to Super Bowl preview and kind of who we thought had the advantage, who we thought were going to win. I think the Eagles are going to win. Craig thinks Kansas City is going to win. Jeff, if you want to throw your input on the game, and who do you think is going to come away with the victory?
Philly is on fire. Philly's on fire, and I would say I do worry about Mahomes just a tad bit. And that Philly defense is going to be gunning for him. They will. And if other teams haven't been doing it, I mean, I think the Phillies would be a team that would definitely be gunning for him to try to disrupt that, hurt him, not to say that they're trying to do that, but I just wouldn't be surprised if they're going to be start targeting some of the.
I could see somebody twisting an ankle in the pile, or
especially a team like the Eagles. I
Philly.
mean, the Eagles are
them dirty bastard now.
Yeah.
Not exactly your rule book.
The new Dirty Birds.
Yeah.
But they're just on fire, man. And the way they're beating teams, it's just like something is.
Nobody had heard of Hassan Reddick. They'll know his name now.
Exactly.
Taking out quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles in this.
Eagles.
And again, some of that's a little biased because obviously I'm a
You're not
Denver
big
fan. I don't really Kansas City fan. I don't want to see Mahomes win another thing.
I hate the Eagles, but I don't mind them winning because they'll burn the city down as soon as they do it. You got to Crisco the light poles.
They got to grease the poles
because those weirdos climb poles and hang from stuff. And
they're gonna have to do it regardless if they win or lose. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
Either way, the city's getting burned down, so I'm happy.
If the Lakers won or lost, they were rioting in the streets. Depends
I
on
think,
if they had smiles on their face or if they were pissed off.
Yeah. I think from a non-biased perspective, it's interesting. Jalen Hurts, everybody kind of threw him under the bus for years, and I think it's pretty cool to see him kind of come out of that. The coaching, I think, has done an excellent job, taking all the biases away and things like that. They did a good job with this team this year. Whether or not that translates to next year, we'll see. But this year, they were a good team.
Yeah,
they're going to have to pay Hurts in the offseason,
right?
And that's going to hurt a little bit. They're going to have to give up from somewhere. They're going to have to get that money. But
already, I mean, fifth year option.
I think he only has 1 year left. I mean, they could give the 5th year option, but if you win a Super Bowl, you're going to go in there and go,
oh yeah, you're going to be able to
give Daddy his money. Thank you.
Well,
and he can't get tagged anymore.
He could get tagged, but that's just not
a tag courtesy of Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes. The tag is $37 million. I think is what they said Lamar's tag will be this year.
And the tag,
and he's making 1.5 now. So
players take that tag as a personal attack on them. So
you don't want to tag your
Super Bowl
winning quarterback.
It's not a sign of good. It's not a sign of good faith.
Who finished probably second in the MVP voting. Yeah, you don't want to tag that guy.
Me and Craig have talked about it, and we just we before the season started, we didn't believe in Hurts, and he's made the biggest jump we've seen in football this season by far, and he would be the MVP if he didn't get injured. So.
I mean, you can credit some of the coaching staff for that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Also, geez.
Well, first of all, you want to credit the owners for going out and getting
the GM,
getting AJ Brown and stacking this team and getting them help, and then you got a coach that works the Hurts system and knows what they can do, and they've worked the system around their quarterback. Instead of trying to get a quarterback to work for their system, they said, "Hey, this is what he's good at. This is what we're going to continue to do." They run the play action pass, the run pass, the RPOs. They run that to perfection, and then they have the deep threat of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith on the other side. So, and then they got Dallas Goedert right there as tight end. They got the running back. Sanders had the best year of his year this year. There's kind of clicking on all levels along with that defense. So, and we've discussed it. This seems like a very balanced team. Two of them, like the Eagles have the number one offense. Kansas City had the number one offense this season. Eagles had number 3. Eagles had the number 2 defense. Kansas City had the number 11 defense in the season. So the defense is better for the Eagles, but offensively with Patrick Mahomes, the advantage goes to Patrick Mahomes there. But it's pretty well. There's
a slight advantage for Mahomes having extra time, I guess. So
both of them really. I mean,
Hurts
shoulder
yeah,
and
that's true.
Yeah, you're gonna have the extra. Yeah, they're gonna have the extra time. Hopefully, get his shoulder and the ankle better. So we'll see, man. It looks to me on paper, it looks to be a really good Super Bowl.
I think it's gonna be good.
I'm taking 3-point game, 27-24. Eagles win would be my prediction. Maybe a little high scoring, 34-31 type with both these offenses, but. All right. Well, we got 2 for the Eagles and 1 for Kansas City. Yeah, I honestly don't want Patrick Mahomes to win, but sorry, checking out our comment there. But
Yeah.
but I just think the Eagles are going to get it done. But we'll see. It should be good. I'm just rooting for a good game, and it's actually on my birthday this year. Damn, Packers couldn't make it there and give me a birthday present, but
you actually have to make it to the playoffs.
yeah, you gotta, yeah. All right. Well, there's your Super Bowl preview. We got some headlines of the week for you coming up next, but before we get into that, Tuesday's show, I'm really excited about Tuesday's show. Before the season, me and Craig came up with questions for each NFL team. So Tuesday, we're going to go through those questions that we had. We're going to see if they answered our questions and answer a question about did they have a good season or not. So Tuesday's going to be a good show. So feel free to tune in there as well. But go ahead, Craig, hit us on over to the headlines. All right, we've had some crazy headlines this week. We've had some bad headlines this week. Joe Mixon is in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. There, the running back for the Bengals has an arrest warrant out for him for pointing a gun in a woman's face in Ohio. This was actually the night before they beat the Bills in the playoff game. So, I read more into this because this broke Thursday. The charges have been dropped as of this morning. Mixon's agent said it's the police's obligation to investigate before charges are officially filed. They're saying these charges will probably be filed again. Like, he's not in the clear of this. They have to do some more investigation before they decide to press charges or not. Because once you press charges, it sticks with somebody, even if they're false or not. But Joe Mixon, if we not forget, punched a woman in the face in college. And the Bengals took him in the draft. He fell a little bit. They took him in the second round, and we were like, "Oh no, this guy's got some red flags." And he's been fine ever since. But this is something here that just can't. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, are you going to throw your life away? You want to be stupid? Pointing a gun in a woman's face in Ohio is a I think it's a Category 1 misdemeanor or
Class
something
1
like
misdemeanor.
that. So I just don't know. Boneheaded, dumb decision by
I
Nixon.
just don't know what stemmed. I mean, was it a date gone wrong? Was it just he was at the Chicken Express and the lady cut him? Like, I don't understand
idea.
What it caused. He's like, I should shoot you. I should punch you in the face, and then he's like, how about this? How about I just shoot you, and the cop can come find me? And I'm like, what? Like, what? That makes no sense. Like, so I don't know if there's alcohol involved. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. He did have this coming out of draft. He knocked that lady cold at the store.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we haven't seen any issues until now. And I don't know. You're getting ready to go play the Bills. What do you? I don't understand.
That makes no sense because they wouldn't have been in Cincinnati the night before. That game was in Buffalo. So
was it maybe the day's wrong? But that's what this article said. But just dumb.
Yeah, this is just one more, and one more story that Goodell's gonna have to sweep under the rug.
Yeah, there's a couple of them this week.
There's one more that's a little worse than this one. Eagles offensive line Josh Seals indicted on rape and kidnapping charges. Yeah, here we go. Said he held a girl that he's known this girl since high school. Apparently,
they dated before.
Yeah, dated her before. He held her, kidnapped her. Basically, held her hostage in his car and made her perform sexual acts before releasing her. So there goes their offensive lineman. I don't know.
Well, he only played one game this year, and he's a backup. But, I mean, God forbid you go to the Super Bowl and some guy gets hurt. I mean, Lane Johnson is playing with a groin that's torn away from its bone. So, he might fall in the deal. But this sounds to me like it's pretty cut and dry.
Lock up, lock him up. Let him throw
this
a
sounds,
key.
they put him on the exempt list, and he'll be there for a while. But this sounds to me much more clear and concise than the Mixon deal. This just sounds to me like he was dating a girl and thought he could get whatever.
I
And
play
she
for
was
the
like,
Eagles. You know who I am, and
she and he thought, I'm just going to take her out, and at the end of the night, we're going to do this. And she was like, all right, see you later. And he's like, oh, hold on, click, and locks the doors and deal. And she did everything by the book. It sounds like the charges were filed immediately after the night. Like she didn't wait a week, she didn't wait a month, she didn't wait. She immediately filed them. It sounds to me like there was a kit done, and so. To me, it sounds like he's pretty much, it might be his career.
And it should be.
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
Yeah.
So has anybody looked up the latest for this Joe Mixon deal?
Other than what Brian said about the charges being dropped. No.
The charges were dropped,
Yeah, okay.
but there doesn't.
Because it was just.
It was saying that it doesn't.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it was saying that the charges are dropped. They got to do more investigation, and it doesn't mean that the charges won't be brought back. Like, this isn't just he's dropped the charges and he's good to go. This is, we're going to do some more investigation, and then if charges will be filed later on if needed.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because I was like, it seems like it's just going to be changing all the time. So.
On Thursday, the charges were brought on Thursday, and they were dropped on this morning, on Friday morning. So,
but the DA can go back and still file them, even if somebody got to her and gave her a bunch of money. If the DA has enough evidence, the DA can file them themselves if they want. But I don't. That's probably what they're waiting on is their own investigation.
Just a mess. All of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And luckily, Cincinnati's not playing in the Super Bowl because he would probably join Sills on the exempt list and not be able to play in the Super Bowl. So it probably was a good thing for Cincinnati. They got eliminated.
All right. Well, we'll get into some better stories here coming up. Derek Carr said that he's not extending the contract trigger date, which means basically. If he was to agree and accept this, they would basically give the Raiders more time to figure out what they're going to do with him. He said, no, the deadline's, I think, February 15th, and they have until then to either trade him, cut him, or sign him back. So they got to figure out what they're going to do with him real quickly as that's moving. But good for him. This guy's given everything to this organization. He's talking about wanting to retire here. And all this stuff, and they've basically 2 games before the season, they said, you're not playing for us anymore. We don't want you. So don't give them any leeway. This is the date. Figure it out. And good luck. But I don't know where he ends up next season, but it won't be with Oakland, and they've got to figure out in a hurry what they're going to do next.
Well, I think it's just recently they're allowing him to talk to other teams.
Are they finally allowing him? Because for a while they weren't, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, this was 37 minutes ago.
Okay, well that's off the press,
and that's good for him because you don't want to see if I'm him, I kind of force their hand to cut me because I'd like to go where I want to go, not lowest bidder. I don't want to go play for some team that's going to win. I don't want to
go to Houston for a 6th round pick.
And win one football game and spend the rest of my career on my back because the offensive line's a turnstile. I'd like to go somewhere where I might have a chance to win because, how many years does Carl really have left? He's been a Raider for what, 8 years, 9 years?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, he's been in the league for a while, and I think they said that it's a similar agreement that Houston had with Deshaun Watson.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
he's only 31.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at quarterbacks and how long they've been playing with Brady and Rodgers,
probably got 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, he could go somewhere else and finish his last contract with them. But what are your thoughts on Derek Carr? He's that quarterback that's been decent. I think he's been underrated, but is he the quarterback?
He hasn't had a lot to work with until this year. he had more to work with this year, and
Oh, he had a lot to work with this year,
and his was his worst season, so that doesn't bode well. I mean, he has some good games, he has some bad games. This year, he just seemed to have more bad than good.
Yeah. I don't know. There wasn't really a connection between him and Devontae Adams right off the bat. There's something that just seemed weird. They got all the talent in the world for him this year, and they seem to not to live up. And I know they play in the toughest division in football, or one of the toughest divisions in football. But they just put it together. I mean,
and that offense, I mean, it wasn't like when McDaniel went to – well, it wasn't like when McDaniel went to Denver, the offense flurried. So I'm wondering if that's not like when these guys lead Belichick, their systems don't seem to work as well. Patricia left. He went down to Detroit. It didn't work. McDaniel tried to leave a couple times. That hasn't worked. Like, not too many people that are under the Belichick umbrella have gone and had success outside the Belichick umbrella. Once they get out there, they don't seem to have a whole lot of success. So I'm wondering if maybe Carr's not getting a bad rap for McDaniel.
It could be, and maybe the offensive system that he's running is too complicated for Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe,
I mean,
if you're not getting the system,
you see Brady retire, and he was like, "I'm not running back." He didn't run back to Josh McDaniel, so I don't know.
Yeah, and it could be. I don't know if Josh McDaniels is the answer there, but
doesn't seem to be the answer anywhere. But we'll see. He does get another year.
If not, he could go back to play the Patriots. Belichick will take him back.
Oof. Yeah, Derek Carr, he's just something's always been kind of weird about him. He'll have good games, these flashes of like really great play, and then you'll see him a few games later, and it's like, what's going on here? So, and that's besides Josh McDaniels, that's kind of been his career, So
yeah, even before McDaniels got there, it was that same way. So, inconsistency, and
you can't really blame him, but because he's been doing this for years.
And maybe Josh McDaniels, maybe we need to give him a little round of applause, because it takes some guts to come in there to the quarterback that's been there for years and say, "Hey, you're just not the guy, and we're going to see what we have other than you."
Yeah, but he doesn't have a track record picking quarterbacks in the draft.
Well, they have Stidham there. Stidham decent. This season, he played decent in the 2 games he played.
He picked Tim Tebow.
Oh yeah, Tim Tebow's garbage.
Yeah, he picked Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Best college quarterback to not do anything in the NFL.
Yeah, I called that from the start.
But
yeah, he was excited about getting him and wasted our pick.
Wasted your pick.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was quite interesting, and there has been 149 concussions during the 2022 season, up 18% from the year before.
7 of them, there were Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, 17% were all Tua.
God,
what? This is not something the NFL wants to see.
No.
Nobody wants to see it. It's not like we're out here going concussion. What else can they do? What else can we do? We've changed the helmets. They've changed the way you can hit guys. Is there just nothing we can do to stop concussions? Is this just part of, all right, well, you sign up for, and maybe we're at that point. I don't know what else they can do to stop concussions.
Bigger, faster, stronger. These guys that are coming out of college are just so much stronger, so much faster, and they put those seals around their neck that you see that a few of the Cowboys are wearing. Those are supposed to be the next thing to help the neck, deal and help. But I just don't. You could eliminate kickoffs altogether. That might help a little bit, but I would have to see the number of that 140 something. How many of those were on kickoffs? I have no idea.
And how many happen in the trenches?
That's
linemen
probably.
Getting hit in the head,
those are
repeatedly.
That's like 67 car wrecks. They say.
Yeah, they're getting their head hit all the time.
Yeah. That guy, the guy for the other day in the first game, for I think it was Philadelphia, the first tackle of the game, tackles him and falls down, and you knew right then and there he wasn't getting up and coming back into the football game. No, it's Kansas City. The guy for Kansas City. Kansas City, their cornerback. He goes and tackles that guy, and he drops, and you knew right then and there he wasn't coming back into the football game. And so,
unless he played for Miami.
Yeah, but it just you've got the NFL has got a guy watching the field. They've got the Sky deal trying to type into the NFL. I just don't see much more you can do unless you just put more padding around the inside of it.
And then I don't know. And I think they've got to come down with some type of harsh punishment on Miami. I mean, what are we doing with him with this and not taking 2 out of a game when you can physically see this and he just now got out of concussion protocol a month later. So that's some scary news for him. He's got to make that decision. If he's already made a decision that he wants to continue playing, and I don't blame him, but I think there's got to be harsh punishments for NFL teams that continue to violate these rules like that, because Miami, we've seen it play out on national television. There was no hiding it.
Even the last one, he goes in and watches film the next day with McDaniels, and McDaniels is showing him the film, and he's like, I don't remember this whole quarter. McDaniels looks at him and goes, What? He goes, I don't remember none of these throws. And that's why he threw 3 interceptions in the last quarter of the last game, was because he didn't remember who he was throwing it to. And I was like, how do you have that to where a guy does not know where he's at, but yet you conducted how many timeouts with the guy and talked to him face to face, and you can't see that he's not there? Like that to me is 100% of the Dolphins.
Well, and also, I mean, I think when things like that happen, I think the team definitely needs to get penalized for that.
Yeah.
The team.
Yeah.
Not just, like
fines and owners.
Right. I mean, we're talking, and for a team, there needs to be some significant fines, like not slap on the wrist,
draft picks taken away. I mean,
that's very possible.
Point,
yeah.
Especially with how Miami handled it.
They won't want that to happen. Obviously, they'll try their hardest to try to fix that or prevent that from happening, because they're going to lose their draft picks. Is Craig paused?
Craig always freezes up when we have on 3. I don't know why. Craig, can you hear us? His internet says it's really red. Let's go and take him off there.
So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they can do. You start changing aspects of the game that are significant, and you start messing with people really enjoying the game and watching it. So it's a tough thing. I don't know how they're going to navigate this. There's only so much you can do to the helmets. You could start drawing back some of the strength and conditioning stuff and make it to where people can't, it's just like weight limits and stuff. I don't know how you do it.
I think, you could take away the kickoffs and just start them at the 25, and because that's your big explosive contact, or even punt returns. You punt the ball, and where it lands is kind of where you get it. But that would take a lot of things away. I just don't know what. Craig is back. Craig, every time we do 3,
see, at its finest.
Every time we do 3, for some reason you freeze up.
I get.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, Brian.
All right. Well, we got a non-football headline here that just broke, and then Jeff, we will give you your segment to rant on your things. But Kyrie Irving has informed the Brooklyn Nets that he wants to be traded before the trade deadline, and this is huge news.
Is it?
And well, it is. First of all, I don't want this guy nowhere near my team. He's an absolute cancer of a person, and everywhere he goes, he brings down. And basketball skills, he's great. Person, cancer, I don't want him. I don't even want to call him. I don't want the Mavericks to call him up, but he wants out. And this, if they do trade him, what a debacle it has been in Brooklyn. What an absolute joke of going out and getting Kevin Durant and getting Kyrie and like, oh yeah, this is going to be the new dominant force, and they didn't come close to winning the championship. Someone will take him. Someone will send a bunch of players for him. There's talks again about the LA. He wants to go to LA Lakers to play with LeBron. He might go there. I don't know. I don't know who they're sending. I don't know who they have to send. The team kind of sucks, but he'll go somewhere, and someone will keep taking him because he could play. But he's a cancer, straight up cancer of the NBA is Kyrie Irving.
This isn't a surprise. His personality can only drive so many people before he starts burning bridges, and who knows what's gone on in that organization. We know what he's done in the past. So I mean, you can kind of, I think the writing's on the wall there as to what maybe is going on in Brooklyn. So it's, I mean, I first heard this, I almost laughed. Honestly, I was just.
We talked about.
Well, to start the season, he demanded this. I mean, in the offseason, he demanded this. And then all of a sudden it was, all right, I'll come back and play with Durant and everything's fine. I'm good. I'm in. And now all of a sudden, it's the trade deadline, and it's right before the deadline. They got till Thursday now. And today's Friday, so they've got less than a week to trade him. And the NBA is just not as easy to trade as anybody else. Like, the salaries have to match. Like, it'd have to be Russell Westbrook. It'd have to be AD. It would have to be somebody like that to deal. And I just don't see a lot of teams. Nobody lined up in the offseason to do it. Nobody.
Nope. I don't think he's gone. And
he said today that if you don't trade him, then he will leave in free agency. Like, he will go sign somewhere in the offseason. And I'm like, well, have a good time, I guess. The only thing you lose in that is you don't get anything in return. Yeah. I guess his contract's up at the end of the year because it said that if he doesn't,
you would try and trade him for something instead of losing for nothing.
You would think. But what are you willing? Are you willing to get pennies on the dollar for your investment?
Well, Kevin Durant said he wanted out before the season, and
that's what I'm. Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for the next shoe to drop. I keep looking at the phone, waiting for that domino to fall too. So I have no idea. Durant's been hurt. Yeah, so that's probably why he's not screaming.
It's absolutely crazy. And Craig, I just got your text. We will talk about that in a minute. All right, Jeff. Well, this is your shot. Your time to shine here. Your time to shine here. Jeff's rant of the week. Weekly segment at Friday. I want you to come in here screaming like Stephen A. Smith.
I gotta get my cowboy hat on and my cigar.
Oh man. All right, brother, go ahead.
So I don't know what's going on with the news, but the quote unquote insiders that are the sports journalists that are trying to tell everybody what's going on, and it's been chaotic. And it's been chaotic with my team. You have rumors of this guy's the candidate, then you have Ian Rappaport, which I am going to name drop. He's saying one thing. You have, another reliable source saying something different. You have Colin Cowherd who's sitting saying something different. And it's just this merry-go-round of news and debacle all off season. I don't know where half this is coming from. Then you have the Vic Fangio thing where he's like, I didn't say I was going anywhere. I'm like, wait. So he literally, he literally said, I haven't signed anything.
Like, and then, no.
Yeah, he's like, I haven't agreed to anything. And then you hear reports from, local reporters here that are like, he's talking to the Pinners group. I'm like, what is he then? Who are these people? What are these people talking about then? It's been a mess. It's been a mess with these journalists, these sports journalists that have all this insider information, and it's contradicting. Like, 1 minute it's like, oh no, Evero's not Evero, but D'Amico Ryan is going to be the head coach, and that it was always D'Amico Ryan, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, no, it was never D'Amico Ryan, ever. Like there's people that are close to the organization that are like the whole time it's been Sean Payton. That's their
except
guy.
Except for when he had the problem with the ownership or whatever, which Peyton was like,
Right.
that's not a thing.
He had to come out on Twitter and was like, no, I don't know where that story came from. We had a great meeting.
Yeah.
Colin Cowherd was like, I heard they had a great meeting. I don't know where that came from. Something was weird with that. I don't know if it was a negotiation tactic to try to mess with the dollar amount for Peyton.
Or
Somebody
not give
was
up
leaking
first-round
some.
draft pick.
Yeah, something was
Well,
up
see,
with
the
that.
whole D'Amico Ryan thing, I figured, because he's a hot commodity, right?
Sure.
I figured that they were like, well, let's try and get him because you don't have to give a first and second round draft pick. And when that fell through, and because D'Amico, they came out today, said Houston is his dream job. He's grew up in
Right.
Houston. He wanted to be there, and he wants to win in Houston, which is great for him. I don't know who wants to sign on
He
for that
played
job.
there.
Oh, okay. There you go. He's excited to be back in Houston. Well, of course, Denver's going to come out and be like, no. It was always Sean Payton. Of course they're going to say that. I mean, I do believe that they didn't talk to D'Amico Ryans. They also talked to Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah,
they flew him in. But at the end of the day, Sean Payton's the head coach. So
right. But I think the main thing is this is where a lot of people here are going, none of this makes a whole lot of sense. The second that D'Amico Ryan signed, it was like a 40-minute window, and then Sean Payton signed. There's no way that they had that short of a time to agree to terms with the Saints, agree to terms with Sean Payton with the money, because that has to happen in 40 minutes. That seems a little
It's
quick.
just like the Kellen Moore thing.
Yeah,
There's no way Kellen Moore got fired on whatever on Sunday afternoon, and by Monday morning he was the offensive coordinator in LA.
Yeah, and then you have people within the organization that were still they're still behind the scenes. They were there when we hired Fangio. They were there when that happened, and everybody in the organization understands that we haven't really had the greatest track record on first-year coaches, and especially defensive coaches. That's not really been a great record. So you go back and you say, okay, well, when we had Kubiak, they did well. Shanahan, they did well. And so you're like, okay, you put all these little pieces together. Everybody here, from day one, it was Sean Payton. It was like, that's who they're going to go for because the track record never worked. Defensive coordinators becoming head coaches didn't work. Didn't work with Fangio. The defense was great. Offense was garbage.
Yeah, and I don't think D'Amico Ryan wants to sign up because he doesn't know what's wrong with Russ. Like I can't fix Russ.
Exactly.
Let somebody else fix Russ. Like I can't do it. I can go down to Houston and get my own quarterback because I have the second pick of the draft. I got to go deal with Russ. I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm a defensive guy. And
I don't know what it is with the team either. I don't think they've ever had an actual defensive head coach that's been successful here.
Now,
let me
ask you this question real quick, Jeff, because there was rumors going around before Sean Payton signed with anybody, before that kind of before it happened, and then the offseason that Sean Payton was going to team up with Vic Fangio, and that was kind of a thing that's still floated out there. And I go, well, Denver would be great for Sean, but do you think Vic Fangio can walk back in that organization? He's already been the defensive coordinator. He's already been the head coach and failed. How's he going to walk in there and be a coach again in an organization? Do you think that would work very well? I don't know if
it's happened before.
It's
happened many times before. Like Kubiak came back, they fired Kubiak, and then when we went to the Super Bowl with he used to be the coach of the Panthers.
John
Fox, and the following year, I think they brought Kubiak back as an advisor. And then he became the head coach.
That's so weird.
It's very weird. And then we won a Super Bowl, oddly enough. So it was just like,
and I don't think Fangio's a fantastic defensive mind. And when he signed in Miami, I said that's great for Miami. They got an offense. The defense is good.
Well, the league is copying. They're copying his strategies.
His strategy.
A lot of the defenses right now are copying Vic Fangio's kind of his
It's a very
playbook.
complex defense,
So-
they say, and basically it looks like you're in man, and next thing you know, it's zone, or there's some routes that they were breaking it down on the radio the other day about how, like, if this wide receiver runs this route, then all of a sudden they're in zone, or all of a sudden they're
Right.
in man, and it confuses the quarterback because they think, they're in zone, I'm going to throw it, and then next thing you know, it's man. And
I know the Dallas
It's
Cowboys have
very
had trouble
ingenious.
with it the last couple times they played Denver.
yeah, Dallas Cowboys can't beat the Denver Broncos. But Vic
so
Fangio hasn't officially signed anybody, right? Because last I looked,
No.
it's not. He hasn't signed Miami, which I
Yeah.
thought that was a done deal. With
So
the
here's
reporting.
the weird part. This rabbit hole is insane. First, you hear Sean Payton, you hear the Dolphins, right? That was thrown out too. It was like, oh, he might go to the Dolphins. He might bring Vic Fangio to the Dolphins.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady wants to go to the Dolphins. I'm like, what?
And that's why the Dolphins don't have a first-round pick already, because they were trying to tamper with Peyton and Brady last year.
And so then here we go, and then it's like, no, now Sean Payton is the Broncos head coach. No, Tom Brady retired. I'm like, wait a minute, that is the weirdest thing. Sean Payton signs with Denver, Tom Brady retires. Like, if Sean Payton signed with the Dolphins, do you think?
Well, he knows he can't go to Denver. They can't get rid of the Russ
No,
contract.
they're not going to get Tom Brady. The fans here wouldn't even go for that. So, besides that point, would Tom Brady have retired, or do you think he'd have gone to Miami?
I think he goes to Miami.
I think he goes to Miami.
How
There's
weird,
talks.
how
There was talks.
crazy is
there was
that?
talks.
Because I think he wanted to play for Peyton, and that's who he
Yeah.
probably only wanted to play for. And then when he realizes, well, I can't go there, I'm out.
There was talks throughout the
Because
GMs said that they felt like Tom Brady will play next year, but it won't be in Tampa. They said that for sure. It will not be in Tampa, but he's playing next season. And then Sean Payton gets hired on Denver, and then Tom Brady retires.
At the end of the season, Brady straight up said, I'm taking as long as I need. And then Jim Gray asked him the question, and he gets all like smoking hot at Jim Gray and goes, what did you ask me? I'm going to take as long as I bleep and want, blah, 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 and goes ham on Jim Gray. And then 2 days later, I've lost the love for the game. I'm going to retire. I'm like, wait a minute. 2 days ago, you just jumped in a guy's deal, and a guy who's been your personal questionnaire, your podcast moderator for years, and you jump in his deal and go, I'm going to take as long as I want. Well, tomorrow I'm going to retire.
I wish my quarterback would hurry the hell up and figure out what he's doing. But
he
besides
did
the point.
yesterday while he was playing golf. He said, I'm not going to San Francisco.
Yeah, he goes, I'm not going to San Francisco. Yeah, I know. You're going to the New York Jets, and you're going to like it.
I mean, with all that said, it's just been a mess, and so I looked at it like, look, whenever I know.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump to conclusions
when the name is on the line.
Exactly. When I hear it from the actual team, I'll know. And so it's just, but it's so weird that you're getting these journalists that usually are respected, getting conflicting stories, information.
It seems like it's getting worse every year it goes on because they
always want to be first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whether it's true or not, I'm the first person to throw it out there.
I mean, it's just like the whole thing with baseball. The Aaron Judge thing.
Oh yeah.
He's this giant. Oh, I got it wrong. My bad, guys.
That was that.
You're so excited for 10 minutes.
They misspell his name too? I think.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh no, it's not Aaron Judge. It's
Arson. It was Arson Judge.
Arson Judge.
Brother.
I'm like,
can we have him?
We signed his brother.
Yeah. He was trying to do it so fast. He misspelled his name and got it wrong. Like it was the internet shut down for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I remember when that happened because I was sitting there going,
worst offseason ever. They signed Aaron Judge for 10 minutes and they signed Carlos Correa for 6 days. Neither one of them will be in spring training.
So yeah, with all that, it's I mean, coming back to the Broncos, a lot of people here, there's some perspective to being excited now that maybe the offense is going to be more exciting to watch.
You got to fix that quarterback.
Not as predictable.
It cannot be any worse.
The good part is that he in a I guess a tweet that he said was that we will need to run the ball, which is awesome to hear. We have a good running back. He got injured, but he is coming back.
Now,
But I think the thing is setting up the run to set up Russ. There's something to that, and I think probably that's what worked in Seattle.
you go look at his successive seasons. They have Marshawn Lynch. They ran the ball. They played good defense.
And I think he sees that.
My question for you, Jeff, how do you feel about Sean Payton?
I think that this is a completely different kind of coach than we've had before. So I think that it's a step in the right direction. I think it's an aggressive move by the ownership group. I think this is exactly what they needed to do to kind of jumpstart this team. The reason why is because going back and looking at first-year head coaches didn't work. Defensive-minded head coaches didn't work. The only time that it did was when we had a coach that actually had some success as coach somewhere else, had experience as a coach somewhere else, head coach. Not just defense, offensive-minded. We haven't had that. And I even when we won this last Super Bowl, I wouldn't even consider that because even John Fox was more defensive-minded. And if you go back to look at the actual true successful, like consecutive seasons, you're like, okay, we're on it. It's got to be Shanahan. That was the last time that we really had an offensive-minded, focused type of coach. And so that's why people get excited here, because they look at it and they're like, okay, last time it was Shanahan. So this is going to be different than the times before. So a lot of people here are excited because the offensive has been predictable, boring, plays that made no sense half the time. It's just been hard to watch because you have pieces there and you're just going, what is this? And I don't know what was going on, especially with Hackett. I don't know what was going on there.
Not ready to. They put him in on a spot. He was way over his head. He pissed his pants.
And that's the thing. That's the thing is a lot of people don't realize how serious the people here take this team. And they come at it like, oh, well, this isn't a mega franchise, a mega place. And it's like, kind of is. They take it very seriously. They're not afraid to boo their own fan or their own players. They booed Hackett. John Fox got booed a lot of times because he would play it too safe. He wouldn't try to do any kind of risky plays. It was just things like that. It just became, the franchise here is, I think they even looked at the statistics, and it's second to the 49ers on the West Coast. That's crazy in terms of popularity. So it's like they're an extremely big franchise that are kind of underrated. They kind of go under the radar a lot of the time because people don't necessarily think about them. But their fan base here is freaking avid. And so they're excited about this. I think, it's going to hurt us in the draft this year, whatever. Next year, we pretty much get back to reset that. We have a lot more draft picks going into next year's draft anyway. But I do think because they got rid of a lot of picks, I do see some scenarios where I could see them trading a few pieces, grabbing more draft capital, and then possibly even, because there's not a whole lot to fix on this team other than obviously O-line, and then you got to figure out the quarterback situation. So other than that, I think I can see them also getting people in free agency and fixing pieces that way to make up for lost draft capital.
Yeah, because honestly, sending a first and a second for head coach is asinine in my opinion. But you're pitting
somebody had to do it. So
you're pitting well, here's what the Broncos are essentially doing. They're putting all their eggs in the Sean Payton and Russell Wilson basket, and hopefully it pays off for them.
It's also just not Wilson. Like, I think they look at it as a bigger picture and they go, Sean Payton in general, they want him here. And if he does well, because think about it, he's inheriting Wilson. He didn't get him. That was George Payton that did that. The ownership group also looks at it that way too. They didn't get him. That happened before they became owners. So they look at it like George Payton, this is your project. Hopefully it works, because if it doesn't, then George Payton is going to probably get let go for that, because it was a massive dump. But I think they look at it like, once something like that happens, I think they look at it like, Sean Payton, go get who you want in the draft. Who do you like? Like that. I think I could see them doing something like that, where he'll have a lot more control offensively, grabbing offensive weapons than George Payton will. George Payton he likes to hold a lot of those picks. So I know that was difficult for him to let go of those picks, as he's usually a hoarder of them. He was like that when he was in with the Vikings. So overall, though, I think look at it from this perspective, there's not a whole lot to fix on this team. They have a great defense, great weapons on defense. O-line needs some work, obviously. They had tons of injuries on O-line this last season, ridiculous amount of injuries. And then, obviously, other than that, a great running back coming back from an injury, great weapons on wide receivers, all that kind of stuff. So, in my opinion, it's mostly free agency that I think they'll do some things in. Obviously, I don't see them doing a whole lot in the draft, because they won't have a lot of it. But I just think that the fan base is kind of like, we already have these pieces. Just create creative plays and get this offense going. That's kind of how the people here are looking at it.
All right. Well, hopefully all pans out there. We thought last year getting Russell Wilson was going to be great, and it didn't turn out so well. But
my question to you is, would you want Sean Payton as your head coach?
I would not.
Would the Cowboys want Sean Payton running the offense for the Cowboys?
I thought that was going to be the move.
I thought that was going to be it.
I mean, that Sean Payton and Jerry Jones have been family, friends, and drink wine together for, in the off season. And honestly, I thought if they were going to make a change I think he would have been the Cowboys head coach had it not come with draft picks. Jerry won't give up that kind of capital for Peyton. I don't think. I think that's the only reason that McCarthy is still the head coach. And I think they're kind of giving McCarthy his own rope to be hung with by letting him call plays. This doesn't work this year.
Yeah, getting rid of his main guys.
Yeah, getting rid of his guys that he's had, the offensive line coach, his right hand man that didn't really have a position, just kind of ran around and gathered information. They got rid of all those guys, and he said, "Okay, that's fine, but you're getting rid of Kellen too." And they were like, "All right." So they got rid of Kellen, and they go, "Here you go. It's all yours now. And if it fails, then it's on you." And they can get rid of him and move on.
Yeah, and the other thing is like the fans kind of saw what this offense could look like the last two games of the season. It was all kind of like coming together. You had a couple pieces on offensive line that got back from injury the last two games. Something was weird. As soon as Hackett was out the door, this offense looked a little different. They were not afraid. They were creating plays. Russ was moving out of the box, throwing out of the pocket. It looked different. Something was off with Hackett's plays. It calls and according to Hackett, he wasn't calling the plays. I doubt it. I do think Hackett was still calling plays. I don't believe that he was he was giving it to the OC.
With Hackett, it's so weird because he went from Green Bay being Aaron Rodgers' right-hand man to head coach. And sometimes, as you could see, as it played out the season, is he's not ready to be a head coach. And now he's the offensive coordinator for the Jets. And some people are that way. Russell Wilson's got to learn a whole new offense with Sean Payton. And if anybody can turn him around, I think Sean Payton can do that. Sean Payton, I don't know. I'm not a big Sean Payton fan. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. He went 8-8 3 years in a row with Drew Brees. They only won one Super Bowl. I think his stuff's just old.
Was that his first year head coach? First 2 years?
When they went to the Super Bowl, I'm not sure. There's some statistic when you get a head coach, if you don't win the Super Bowl in the first 3 years and you don't win one, and that's panned out everywhere. But so I think it was in his first 3 years.
Well, it's just
Okay.
because
But-
it's because of they're on the rookie deal and everything like that. And the problem is with, like I said, when on the rookie deal, they were still paying Romo, so they didn't have the capital to go give Dak the.
What are we talking about? Dallas? What are we talking about Dallas here?
Oh, no, we're talking about Drew Brees.
What are we talking?
Oh,
Yeah, I was
And-
talking about Sean Payton and Drew Brees.
my bad.
What are we doing over here? What are we doing?
So the thing is like, I think who knows what was going on at that time. I don't know what was going on with him as a head coach at the time. I don't know how much he had to work with in terms of being able to pick pieces to solidify the offense. Who knows?
Well, that's
You would assume that you know, sorry, you were breaking up. You would assume that they would have given him more leeway, or not more opportunities to pick the things and the pieces that he wants to put around Breeze during that time, maybe. And I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, that's the thing with him that's why I don't know if it'd work out in Dallas, because Sean Payton goes in and he picks his own players. Like he runs a lot of it like a college where he wants to control of personnel. And I don't know if it would work there in Dallas with Jerry Jones and them, but it could seriously work. It could work there in Denver. I'm not saying it couldn't.
Well, Denver's different. I know the different thing is nobody knows this ownership group. They're still new.
Yeah.
This is going to be their first full year as an ownership group. So we'll finally get to see what's going on there. Exactly. They picked him. He agreed to work with them. So this is the first time we're really seeing them in an off-season perspective, getting a coach, hiring one, letting him pick his staff, all these kinds of things. So it's interesting because, in my opinion, what I'm seeing is they're allowing him to now interview his staff. They're kind of hands off, it seems like. So
they're going to let him bring in all his guys. This to me seems very much like old Bronco ownership. They allowed people to just kind of, they oversaw it. Obviously, they're the boss. They make the payment, the paychecks. They pay the paychecks, but still, they don't want to just act like they're the ones who knows what's going on and what to do. Well, we got to get into something before we bounce off this episode, and Craig brought this up and reminded me of it, and I just can't stand it, Craig. All this NFL's rigged crap. I can't stand it. I think it's the dumbest thing. And Arian Foster, former running back of Houston Texans, said they all get a script. I mean, I'm talking about you're going to have 3 touchdowns this game. You're going to blow your Achilles in week 3 and go out with an injury. I'm like, get out of here, bro. Pull your head out of your butt. He's doing this for publicity.
Yeah,
I thought it was a joke. Is this not a parody or something?
I thought so too. But then all of a sudden, you start to see more and more of these stories of
NFL's rig has been trending
ever since the Cincinnati game. But that's kind of what brought it up was the officiating was really poor in the AFC Championship game. Yeah. But I mean, it happens every year. It
happens every game, every year,
you had the Rams go to the Super Bowl on the blatant pass interference call that was missed and let New Orleans go to the Super Bowl. I mean, it happens, but this has been like Arian Foster doubled down, and then you see all these other players go, "Oh yeah, we get them in our lockers, and we get the," and I'm like, this cannot be a thing. Like, if I'm the NFL, I'm like, you're getting fined, you're getting fined, you're getting fined.
This is such fake, and all these idiots, they'll come out there and make these videos, and is this scripted? Shut up! It is the dumbest thing. And if you think the football is scripted, then why are you watching it?
Yeah,
that makes no sense to me. There'd be no point of watching football if every outcome and every play and all this was all scripted. Shut up! It's the most dumbest thing. And this guy, it was a TikTok video, and I'm scrolling through TikTok, and it pops up, is the NFL scripted? And it goes to this play, and the ref missed a call here, and the ref missed this call, and I'm like, I got it. I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I mean,
This
it's
is
like
stupid.
like
And-
okay, let's make Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Let's make him
Yeah.
good. Let's
And-
make this. Let's make
and
that.
there's
Let's do this. Let's
And
do that.
he's like, it's actually pretty smart for you to come on here and comment. I'm like, no, you're just a moron. I could make up this stupid stuff to have people comment on it if that's what you want to do.
Here's what's ridiculous, and here's how this all falls apart. Brock Purdy still has to make the throw. The wide receiver still has to catch the ball.
Yep.
You can't make a wide receiver better. You can't make Brock Purdy better. You can't make Brock Purdy's arm
Stronger.
a robot,
Yeah.
like where he's just throwing perfect dimes left and right. And then, you got the wide receiver hitting the spot every time, running the perfect route. Like you have to understand that's where this falls apart. It's kind of like if someone says, oh, well, the NBA is rigged. Okay, so you're going to tell me that you're going to tell me that Curry is just sitting there putting a magnet to the basketball and he's just shooting it left and right. And it's just every single time. Like, come on now. You still have to make the shot. You still have to make the throw. You still have to block. You still have to make the tackles. It's also instinct too. Like, for example, offensive line, right? Your instinct is to block. You do not want to get thrown to the ground, like, period. So your instinct is to shove back, right? Constantly. So it's like, when you put that in perspective, you take that kind of falls apart too, because you go, well, if it is, then they're just going to walk to the side and let their quarterback get sacked. That's what's supposed to happen.
So and they'll be like, oh, they'll point out, well, he missed a call here. Calls are missed every play, every game, every snap. I can't stand it. And I swear, if I see anybody posting the stupid shit, I'm going to get on. Sorry, language. I'm going to get on there and tell you, you're a moron because you're stupid. Stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
When he said it, I was like, all right, this has got to be.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a parody. I was like, come
all
on,
of a sudden
dude.
it just started to grow traction, and you have all these people that are bringing up, oh yeah, we get scripts all the time. They're at our locker every start of every training camp.
Well, then where are they?
I don't know.
Show everyone.
Yeah, no, I would love it. I would love.
I mean, isn't that the idea?
Yeah. What did they have a Jerry Jones contract back there that said, let me win these two and I'll never touch another Super Bowl? Like, what do we? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, he has gone on record by saying that he
sold his soul
to the devil to get the last one.
Yeah,
and he did say that he would never win another one. That I would do whatever. But
I just can't stand this.
It's
so fake.
It would put so much work in. Like it would have. Somebody would have blown the cover on this long ago.
Yes.
There's a TikTok video making fun of it. They're in a room.
Then Arian Foster, how many years has Arian Foster been out of the league? Yeah. And he just now comes up.
He's looking for relevance 100%. Again.
He's trying to get himself his name back out there.
There's a TikTok video. I don't know if I saved it. I think I shared it. But they're in a room. They're like, all right, NFL script writers, let's go. I need something new. And this guy's like on his phone. He's like, Brady wins another championship. And you're like, no, something new.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Irrelevant goes to the Super Bowl. There you go. All right.
Yeah.
What else? The Giants are good. Oh, okay. Well, right.
Yeah. And he's like, the funny. Packers lose on the last day of the season. Huh? To the Lions. Got it.
Yeah. He's like, what? To the Lions. Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's like, I like it.
Perfect.
And so it's just
it's asinine.
It is. And like I said, you would have heard, it wouldn't have been just now. It would have come out long before now. There would have
Think about this. How long has the NFL been around?
Yeah, 100 years. They just had their 100 years, and nobody said the word script has never come out before now. So
I mean, what do you have? Goodell hiding out in the bushes going just there's a little, all of a sudden somebody's like, I think I'm going to talk about, and there's just like this red dot. It's like, oh no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Goodell's out there.
It's the dumbest thing, man. It's the dumbest. And it drives me crazy. People will post this stupid stuff and then it gets blown up and it's like,
the only thing that I've ever heard was wild and just insane was there's a Netflix series that kind of goes into like sports and things that have gone on, that controversies, and there was a basketball
Referee. Oh, there's him.
And he
Donahue went to jail.
Is that it?
betting on games, but he knew that there were certain refs that had disagreements or didn't like certain players, and not all the time, but every now and then he would say, "Look, that player is probably going to get a lot of fouls, or probably no fouls called really on them." And that, to me, that was crazy. And
Allen Iverson straight up said that he went into games and he had gotten in a screaming match with Steve Javie and called him a name. And for the next 4 games, he said, I got fouls called and fouls called and fouls called on me. He says, and I looked at the guy and went, how long is this going to go on? And he went, I don't know. And for about a week, he said, I had trouble every game I played. He goes, because the refs liked their guy. He goes, and I made a comment about him, and they didn't like it. He goes, and I went into games, and they were calling travels and nothing to get him kicked out of the game. Like, they didn't call foul, but everybody knew Iverson palmed the ball, and they call it, and they just look at him, and he goes, how long is this going to go on? The guy goes, I don't know. And
that's the crazy part, because that didn't go. I mean, we only know that I don't think went on for very long. So
the Donahue thing, he got
that blew it up. Yeah, that's what opened the door on that.
Vision to try to get prison. He wrote a book on it. Like that's all out there.
And there was something
like that happening in the NFL. I don't know.
I doubt it. Because I mean, you're talking about 100 years of that
going
on.
The script side of it's not
right.
Here's the problem.
Rogue and whatever.
Here's the problem with referees in the NFL. And it makes this never made any sense to me. They have your NFL team, the refs work together, and they work together at each game. And then when it comes to the playoffs, they take the best one out of each team and they put them together. They've never worked a game together. They've just run. So they don't know their tendencies. They don't know this guy looks out. They don't know that. And I think you need a team to stick together. And if that team makes the best calls in the season, you move that whole team to the playoffs and you let them call a game like they would, and you get that kind of communication, and the games run smoother, and instead of flags here, flags there, and what are we calling who what, and it's just a lot of confusion.
I think when they do that, they put the dream crew together. There might be a guy that's a back judge in the playoffs that he wasn't a back judge. He was a line judge, or he was somewhere else. He was an all-star ref, but he wasn't that ref. He wasn't the back judge. So he's calling penalties in a position on the field that he's not used to looking. He's used to looking from a different angle or something to that effect. And that is a lot of it. Like when in baseball, when they move these umpires around, there's guys that are down the line and stuff. They've never done that.
Yeah. And it doesn't make any sense. You want the best, but you want the best team that's solid together and communicates well, but I don't know if that's going to change.
But in terms of the rigged stuff, I don't think that. I think that would be too difficult for 100 years to just
for nobody to say anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just stupid.
Even if you think about it, you're talking about people and personnel. This is people like in the back offices and stuff. Like somebody would say something. There'd be a disgruntled employee. Yeah, there'd be a disgruntled employee who didn't get compensation for something, and they would be like, you know what? No, I'm blowing the roof off this. It would have already come out.
Well, all right, guys. I think that's a pretty good episode. We've had a weird week here in Texas. Craig, we worked Monday, and that's about it. So tomorrow we have to go in and work our full day like it's a normal day of the week, which sucks for us. But it's been icy, so it shuts us down here in Texas. But that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Feel free to like our content, share us, come on and comment on YouTube and get on the show. We will provide your comments live on the show as long as they are friendly. But feel free to check us out, guys, and we will be back me and Craig will be back on Tuesday to do the show. Friday, Jeff will be back on Friday. It's good to have him back, and we will go next Tuesday. We've got some interesting stuff as we go through the questions that we gave each team and see if they answer those questions that we gave them before the season. If that's not too confusing because I keep saying it, I'm like that sounds a little weird, but you'll find out Tuesday. But guys, God bless. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And remember,
Keep
Keep
it
it
outspoken.
outspoken.